Heidi ho out there to all you lawn and landscape lovers. Welcome back to a new episode of Tommy's Turf Talks. I hope everyone's doing great and enjoying the last few weeks of summer. In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to perform, how to read, and how to utilize a soil test to improve the health of your turf. If you're going to be planting new grass seed, installing sod, or planting a garden, it's always a great idea to perform a soil test if you're going to do any sodding, new seeding, or going to be planting a garden to give yourself a baseline reading of where your soil's at so you can amend it properly to give your plantings or grass seed or sod the best start possible to make sure they're going to thrive. You can also just perform one if you just want to get a general reading of where your soil is at to make sure that nothing is out of whack. And if there is something wrong, soil test is going to tell you what it is, and you can make the proper adjustments. All right, let's roll that Tommy Turf Talk intro. So, before you perform your soil test and collect your samples, you're going to need to find a lab or a business that you can send your samples into that will perform the test for you. At the end of the episode today, I'm going to list off a few places that I found that might be helpful of where you can send your samples into. What I'm going to use today is going to be a Lesco soil test kit that you can find at any one of your local Site One landscape supplies. This is a great kit because it supplies me with the soil sample bag along with a prepaid envelope to send my samples into the lab. Then the lab will send results directly back into my account that I created through their website, where I can quickly get results and make the proper changes to my soil. Once you've figured out where you're going to send your soil samples into, now it's time to actually take the samples. This can be done numerous different ways. If you got bare ground, like a vegetable garden or a perennial garden or an annual garden that you're starting, you can just scoop up some dirt into a Ziploc bag or into the soil sample bag that the lab provided and send it on in. If it's turf that you're trying to get a sample from, you can either use a soil probe like this or just a plain old spade shovel. All right, let's go take some samples. All right, so if I'm going to be taking samples from existing turf with a soil probe, very simple. Just walk up to the area of turf you want to take a sample from, and you're going to stick that probe in as far as she'll go. Just like so. All right? And then pull her on up. And there you go. I got a nice, deep sample of my soil in this area. Now I'm going to repeat this process to numerous different spots around the lawn to get a generalized idea of what my overall soil health looks like. If I were doing this just in a small area where I'm going to be seeding, I of course would only take soil samples from that area, still in a couple different spots, and mix that all together in a Ziploc bag or a sample bag. All right, let's go take a few more samples with the soil probe. All right, so again, want to make sure you get it in a few different spots in the lawn. Take my soil sample. I'm going to go ahead and throw that into my soil sample bag. Put that into my bag. Don't need much. You'll see on this bag, it tells me not to fill above this line here. So really you only need about a cup to 2 cups worth of soil for most labs to take a proper sample with if you don't have a soil sample bag provided to you. All right, let's go to the front yard and the side yard and we'll be done. So if I'm going to be taking samples instead with a spade shovel, a few extra steps that I want to take to make sure I don't kill off my grass. Still very easy to do. I'll show you quick how you want to take a soil sample with a spade shovel. Okay, so in existing turf, if you're going to take a soil sample with a spade shovel, you want to cut out just a small patch of turf in a square, rectangle, doesn't really matter. You just want to be able to lift that turf up nice and gently so you don't kill the grass beneath. I'm going to raise the dirt up like so, and I'm going to grab my soil sample bag. Again, don't need an actual soil sample bag. You can use a Ziploc bag to mail it into whatever lab or business you're going to mail it into. Take a little bit of dirt, throw that in my bag, and then I'm going to go off and take another sample at another location. Put my sod back as best I can. Don't worry, the grass will take care of itself. It's as simple as that. I've got my soil in my soil test bag up to the line of where they want me to have it. I'm going to follow the directions on the instructions of how to send this in. And in about a week or two, I should be able to get my results back and make the proper adjustments to my soil. So you use the same process with whatever lab or business you're going through. You're going to take your samples the same way and then follow the directions on their instructions of how they want the soil sent back to them or dropped off. And you should get results back fairly quickly. All right, let's head inside and I will go over how to read your results once you get them, and also some product recommendations on what you can use based upon the results that you're getting back from the lab. All right, let's go. When you get your results back, they're going to look something like this. Depending on where you got your test done at, it could look a lot different on the layout, but they will all have the same types of information inside of them. You're going to see your pH levels, your nutrient levels, where the sample was taken from, and then suggested recommendations for fertilizer or other products. Now, some of these tests will show you nitrogen levels. A lot of them will not. That is because nitrogen moves very quickly throughout the soil. So trying to test for it doesn't give you the best results. And most of your fertilizers are going to have nitrogen inside of it. So if you're going to be putting down nutrients based on these soil tests, you're going to be putting down nitrogen at any rate. So let's start here at the soil pH. So this is showing you what your soil pH is currently at, which is a 6.2, not too bad. You want your soil pH to be between 6 and 7, ideally, for most turf grasses. Some the warm season grasses, if you live down south, can tolerate 7.5, but 6 to 7 is where you want it. The next area is going to tell you how many pounds per acre of these nutrients is available and ready for uptake. So you've got your phosphorus levels, your potassium levels, your calcium levels, and your magnesium levels. Again, it's not giving me any nitrogen levels because no really point in testing for that, considering how quickly it moves through the soil. Somewhere on the results, you'll see your CEC number, your calculated values. The CEC is a measurement of the soil of how well it can hold on to nutrients. So a higher number means that it can hold on to nutrients more efficiently. A lower number means that nutrients are going to leach through the soil at a quicker rate. So what you're looking for is like an 8 to 20, which is moderate. If it's under 20, like this number is, it means there's a higher sand concentration. So nutrients are going to leach through the soil at a much quicker rate. If it's over 20, it means that the soil is much more heavy in clay and will hold on to nutrients very well, but you might have drainage issues. Next to it, you're going to see your percentage of base saturation numbers. This is telling you what percentage of your CEC number is being occupied by positively charged nutrients like potassium, calcium, and magnesium. So what you're looking for here is you want your potassium to be between 2 and 7%. You want your calcium to be between 65 and 80%, and your magnesium to be between 10 and 20%. This is telling you that this soil is fertile and will grow plants, turf, whatever you want very well in it. But again, because of this low CEC number, it's telling me that I have sandy soil, so I may need to put down smaller amounts of nutrients more often than putting down large amounts spread further apart, because my soil will lose nutrients at a quicker rate. And over here, it's telling me the pounds per acre of some micronutrients. If you scroll down, if you look down at this graph here, it's telling me if my levels are adequate, too high, in surplus, or low. And it looks like all my numbers are fairly good. I do have some high manganese and some low zinc. So I might need to look for fertilizers that have some higher zinc levels and no manganese inside of it when I want to fertilize. All right, so that is your basic numbers that you're going to see on a soil test. Again, down below here, it's showing me just a graph of where I am on these nutrients. So my phosphorus levels, they're telling me, are adequate. My potassium levels are adequate. Calcium, magnesium levels are all adequate. My CEC number, again, how well my soil holds on to nutrients, is low. So maybe I want to top dress with some clay to help my soil get a better composition and decrease the percentage of the soil that is sand. My calculated base saturations are all good, and my micros, like I went through, are all good as well. Down here, it's just telling me where I told them the sample was from, what type of plants I told them were growing in this sample, what the area type was, what my maintenance level was. And here it's telling me what kind of fertilizer I might want to use on a per pounds per 1,000 square foot basis to get the numbers back up to where they. That is how you read a soil test. If you guys have any questions on the soil test you get back, don't really know what something means, feel free to take a screenshot, throw it down in the comments, and I will try to help you out in understanding what they're trying to tell you on your soil tests. Let's now go down to each soil test should tell you what the soil makeup is as well. Okay. Also, somewhere on that soil test that you get back should tell you the makeup of your soil. And down here, it's telling me my sand percentage at 61%, my silt at 21, my clay at 18. So it's telling me that my texture is sandy loam. And this would tie back into that CEC number that we saw that was a 6.6, I believe. I'm not surprised to see that there is a high sand content in this soil because of that very low CEC number, telling us that nutrients are leaching down through that soil very quickly because the sand is not tightly packed together and allows nutrients to fall through it very easily. Always good to know what your soil is made out of so that you can mend it properly with top dressings. So now let's get into the products that you could use to fix some of these numbers and get them to where you want them. All right, so we'll look back at our soil test here and say my number that I got back, my soil pH was, say, in the mid to high fives, low fives. That would tell me that my soil is acidic and not going to be able to grow turf very efficiently. How would I fix that? Well, what you're going to want to use is lime. Depending on the type of lime that you're buying, you'll want to read the label, of course, and see what the recommended rates are. However, unless you're going to tear your grass out and till the lime into the soil, it is very slow acting to change your pH. So if you put down the lime, say in the spring, it may not really change your pH levels until the following spring. Same with the fall. Put it down in the fall. It might be late spring, or the next fall before you're noticing a pH difference. So I would say put down the lime at the recommended rates and then test again in a year and see what your pH is. If it's still too acidic, then do another application of lime and just keep doing that until you reach the correct pH levels, which again, 6.0 to 7.0. Or if you're in the South, sometimes 7.5 will work as well. If I got the soil results and my pH level was, say, a 7.5 or an 8, well, now my soil is too basic for grass to grow efficiently. So I want to lower my pH levels. So with that, I'm going to use sulfur. And again, sulfur, just read the bag of whatever you're buying and make sure you're applying it at the recommended rates. However, it could take many months up to a year to make any kind of noticeable change in your soil's pH. So just like with lime, good idea to put it down, wait a year, and then test again and just keep doing that until you get back into that 6 to 7 range of where you want your soil pH to be. So that is how you would fix a pH problem. All right, now nutrients issues. Again, you're not going to see, well, I take that back. There are a lot of tests that will show you your nitrogen levels. However, I wouldn't pay attention to them. We're not really concerned about nitrogen levels. What we're concerned about is the other nutrients that your grass plants or your vegetable plants or flowers need to grow well and efficiently. So if I found that my phosphorus or my potassium levels were low, I would want to go and choose a fertilizer that has higher phosphorus levels or higher potassium levels. So let's take a look quick at what a fertilizer label looks like. Okay, so here is what a fertilizer label looks like. So what are we looking at here? This first number that you'll see is your percentage of nitrogen. The second number is your percentage of phosphorus. And the third number is your percentage of potassium, the 3 major nutrients for a grass plant, or really any plant that you're dealing with, vegetable, flowers, shrubs, trees, what have you. So the 25 is telling me that 25% of the poundage of this bag is nitrogen. 0% of the poundage is phosphorus, and 6% of the poundage is going to be potassium. It will tell you where the nitrogen is derived from. In this case, urea is the source of nitrogen. It will tell you the source of potash or potassium. And then this specific fertilizer does have a micronutrient in it. It's got 5% iron. Iron is going to help green up the grass. It increases chlorophyll production. So again, if I was just looking for, if I got my test results back and it just said that I needed some potassium, or if my results just said, it's all looking good, then this would be an adequate fertilizer just to put down at any time of the year because it's giving me a good source of nitrogen. It's giving me a little bit of potassium, and the iron will help green up my grass. If you notice that your calcium or magnesium or manganese or iron or zinc, any of your micros are low, then there are fertilizers that are going to have micronutrients inside of them, or you can buy specific micronutrient products. So if your micros are too low, then you'll want to choose a fertilizer that's got some micronutrients in there. Depending on what micronutrient is low, you might have to do some searching to find the right fertilizer. And there are a lot of liquid options out there. If you have the ability to spray a liquid across your entire property, you'll have much more options to work through if you can apply liquids rather than just dries. One example is Lesco's Spartec micronutrients. Great product, 2 ounces per 1,000, so it goes a long ways. And it's got a lot of good micros in there that could help boost some of your micronutrient levels. If you get results back and your CEC level is very high, so your soil is holding on to nutrients very well, a good product to use might be Lesco Carbon Pro, or any product that's like it. Again, in an earlier video, I went over it when I was putting down grass seed on some dog spots. It's got compost, biochar, and humic acid inside of it. It helps the soil release nutrients, helps nutrients become more readily available to the grass plants. So if you've got a very high CEC number, that might be a great product for you because that soil is holding on to those nutrients very tightly, and it will help the soil release those and make them available to the grass plant. All right, well, that is a wrap on this week's episode of Tommy's Turf Talks. I hope I answered a lot of your questions on how to perform, read, and utilize your soil tests. If you do have additional questions or have recommendations on what I can do in future episodes, please, by all means, leave a comment down below, and I will be very quick to respond. And if you're loving this content and cannot wait for that next week of Tommy's Turf Talks, please make sure you like, share, and follow this video. And can't wait to see you again all next Friday. All right, bye guys.